Hi there. Just call me the critic, 1952. Obviously, 1952 was the year I was born. I'm just turned 60 this past summer, and I'm still working for about another 5 or 6 years, and then I'll retire. I do have a pension from a previous career, though. The critic, that's kind of, I'm critical of some things, and what I want to talk about tonight, this being my first video, I want to just talk about the election that we just had. For full disclosure, I am a Christian. I am a conservative, and I'm a registered Republican, though I have voted for some good Democrats in the past. My dad was a good Democrat. He was never an office holder or ran for political office. My dad was somebody that never got past the 8th grade, worked for General Motors, and provided for me. I was an only child, and my dad was a good man. But what I want to talk about is the election. President Obama, you won. 3 million votes in your favor over Romney. Can't be wrong. Electoral College, you won it. So, did I like Bill Clinton? No, not really. But I had him for 8 years, and you're going to be my president for 8 years. And I will give you every due respect that office, commands. And I think it's a lot. A lot of people, for example, they would talk about George Bush and, oh, he was dumb. I remind them of a couple of things, and I'd also tell them, what do you think about, President Obama? And they would talk about how good you were, and I'd say, well, the men have a lot of similarities. I said, President, Bush, and I'm talking about Bush 43. He flew jets. Now, it wasn't in combat. Fine. I've flown some small planes, when I was learning how to fly, and jet planes are a different animal. You're not a dummy to fly one of those. They don't just let you hop in there and take off, okay? First rule of flying is, taking off is an option, landing's not, okay? So, and the guy did go to Harvard, Yale, whatever, and so did you, Mr. President, and I will give you that respect. They don't hand out those degrees, not to Republicans, not to Democrats, or to anybody else. They have to be earned, okay? So, that's the side. Mr. President, you said you want to reach out to the other side, and that's what I want to hear. It's what I'd like to hear. It's what I hope happens. I think the first thing that I think that would be successful I know at least with the Republicans, and I think with a lot of Democrats too, is let's get a balanced budget amendment of some type. Let's get something down that requires our government to balance the budget every year. So many states have that in their constitution now, and I don't understand why the federal government can't do it. It's pretty simple. Pass the law. Pass the law that we have to balance our budget. We can't spend more than we take in. It's real simple. What have we done? We print money. It's crazy. I can't do that here. If I run short, I got to cut corners someplace. There's something that doesn't get paid, or my cats don't get as much cat food, or they don't get their treats. If I don't have enough money, I can't just go out and borrow it from somebody, and I can't print it. So let's balance the budget every year and make sure that whoever becomes president after you, Democrat or Republican, that they're required to balance it too. That's good business. Tax reform, deductions, and I'm talking more than anything else, the rich people, the people that you talk about, over 200, 250,000 a year. But I'm talking about, I don't want to see their tax rate increase. I absolutely do not want to see that. But some of the deductions, especially on big ticket items, I think some of those things need to go away. If you're a CEO of a large company, I understand you not wanting to ride on, commercial aircraft up in first class. and let's say you're the CEO of a company like Eli Lilly or GM or whoever that company is, and you're sitting up there, and all of a sudden the guy gets on the plane and he sees you. I lost my job at your company for a decision that you made. Gets his eye dotted. Don't need that. Okay, I get that. That's the reason why they have some of their own private planes and helicopters and things like that. Even like Jimmy Irsay. I'm from Indiana here, and Irsay has his own helicopter that he takes from up near Carmel where he lives at, and takes it to Lucas Oil, or somewhere, takes it to the helipad nearby, and that's how he commutes a lot. Those deductions need to go away. They just need to go away. Can't take them anymore, okay? We need to increase revenue, and I think that's one of the quickest ways to do that. Again, I don't believe in raising taxes on anybody, okay? But if we get rid of some of these deductions, especially for the uber rich, I think we can start generating some money. Entitlements, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, those types of things. Means tested. If you're a rich guy, like a Jimmy Irsay, I'll use him. I'm not trying to pick on him. But if you're a guy, Rush Limbaugh, making $25 million a year, whatever, and then all of a sudden, you retire. You really think you need that $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 a month in Social Security? I don't think so. I think if you're worth, enough money and you can demonstrate enough income, you probably don't need that Social Security check. And I know you paid into it. I understand that. I get it. Okay? But do you really need it? Do you really need it? I think people who have done well, by their own accord, even if they inherited it, if they've got that kind of income that that kind of money is not going to influence them or affect their daily life. If that changes, all of a sudden, they lose everything they've got and they need that Social Security. I think they're still entitled to it. Simple as that. But I'm just saying, I think that's one way to change some things. Our bureaucracy. Recently, Mr. President, you said that you'd like to create another cabinet position for a business secretary. When you were Senator Obama running for office for president, you said something to the effect that you wanted to cut government spending, you wanted to cut the deficit in half, that you wanted to combine agencies and try to streamline things. I agree with that. We don't need another cabinet member. Now, if you want somebody to work in the cabinet and they don't want to take any pay for it or $1 a year, okay, whatever. But I think that we have enough good people now. We got Small Business Administration. We've got Commerce Secretary. We've got a lot of different agencies that deal with businesses on a daily basis. Let's combine a lot of those agencies down into fewer, into one or two maybe, depending on private sector and things like that, or maybe what they produce, whether heavy manufacturing or not, and have fewer people oversee fewer agencies. Combine those, and through attrition, eliminate some of those positions. That's one thing that Governor Romney talked about that I believe, and I think that would work. That would work, I believe, on both sides of the aisle. Another thing, the EPA, and I'm going to set the EPA aside in particular for a moment. Right now, it's been about 35 years or longer since we built our last nuclear facility. And it's been about 40 or 45 years, and I could have them reversed, but let's just say it's been 35 years for both of them since we built a new nuclear facility or a new oil refinery. What's wrong with that picture? Okay, this gray that I've got, okay, and the gray that you've gotten in the last 4 years, we're starting to age a little bit. You and I are. I'm a little bit older than you, obviously, but I started getting this gray hair when I was in my 40s, early 40s. Okay, those plants, those nuclear plants or the oil refineries, If the newest one's 40 years old, it's starting to get old. And you can only invest so much into a facility like that to expand it, to improve it, to make it more efficient before you start losing, money on it, because you have diminishing returns after a while. That law of diminishing returns applies to all things, even facilities like that. So how many jobs could we create by building some of these new facilities? The Marble Hill facility was built in southern Indiana 30-some years ago. They found some problems, and they took a shovel to it. After they invested $1 billion, they took a shovel to it. If you look in France, look at France, they obviously have been operating on a lot of nuclear power for a lot of years, and they've not had a Chernobyl. And they've got a lot more nuclear facilities than we do in this country. I think we can learn by that. I think this country has enough skilled labor and proud laborers that they can build these facilities now and not have those issues. Will they be expensive? Oh, yes, they will. But look at the jobs to create, and if we're smart on where we place them. And I'm not talking about, we don't want to place them, close to this population, because if something happened, we're going to have a lot of people in trouble. That's going to happen regardless where they're at. But if we really do a good study on where they should be located at, so they're the most efficient as far as putting out that power, I think that we could see that we could build 6 or 8 or maybe even 10 new nuclear facilities over the next 10 years, or starting over the next 10 years, and really make some leaps and bounds in that type of energy savings. And the same thing with the oil refineries. And bring the Keystone Pipeline down. Let's quit wasting time and getting back to the Environmental Protection Agency side of it. Let's quit wasting time with those types of things. Pull the reins in on the EPA a little bit. Another thing I would suggest, do away with the over 100 different blends of gasoline that we have in this country. In New Jersey, I think it was, we found out during Sandy, they can't bring gasoline in from from another state because of whatever. If we were down to 2 blends, a winter blend and a summer blend, there's some states would never have to change, like Florida, Louisiana, Texas, Arizona, at least half of California. They would never have to change, and they could draw on gasoline from any place. If they have a fire like they did out in California at a refinery, shuts it down, and it, because of the different blends they've got, there's different than what they are in Arizona or what they are in Colorado or someplace else. They could bring in fuel from those places, and it would lower the cost of gasoline tremendously. So, like I said, the EPA, we need to pull the reins in. One thing that I know is a sore subject with a lot of people, it was a sore subject with me, and that was some of the money that we gave to private companies for reinvesting in renewables. I don't have any problem with trying to, mine solar energy and windmills. Not far from where I live at, there's a large array of windmills, but it's not enough. It's cost prohibitive, and it's not creating enough energy. So in the meantime, we need to go along with oil refineries and the nuclear plants. Okay, but with that said, I know that Governor Romney made a statement that you don't. A friend of his said you didn't pick winners and losers; you picked losers. And I'm not going to get into the merits of that. I think you were doing what you thought best, what you thought was good for the country, your constituents, and environmentalists. But let's be honest. We want a return on our investment. If private money had been used, I guarantee you they wouldn't have lost near as much as we did. They would have seen a losing proposition and said, that's it. It's not working. You're going to have to make some changes. We just said, here you go. And the taxpayers lost out. The taxpayers lost out on a lot of money. I don't want to see that again. I don't think you do either. So those are some ideas that I'd like to propose to you. I hope you're sincere about reaching across the aisle. That's the best way this country can work. Call Governor Romney up. Have lunch with him. Listen to some of his ideas just one-on-one. He's not going to drink a beer with you, obviously, but I think he'd drink a cup of coffee with you and and talk to you, pretty straightforward on some of his ideas. I know you guys bantered about him during the election campaign, but that's behind us now. Let's work together. I went over the 15 minutes I kind of wanted to keep this to, so I'll just end it like that. And Mr. President, good luck, and I'll be commenting some more down the road a little bit. Let's see how we do. Thanks.